Today's episode is brought to you by Forvis Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. In late 2017, Kim Tran-Flores and her husband Mark Flores began hosting workshops to promote the benefits of modern calligraphy and mindfulness. From a trickle of people in its early days, it's since morphed into offering a range of personalised products to large brands at their corporate events. With a team of 30, Kimlligraphy is rapidly expanding across the country and overseas. Creative Director Kim explains how it all began to Chris Ashmore.
I was about 7 months pregnant with our first child, Hendrix, when I decided, you know what, I'm going to host my first workshop. And really, we only had 3 students who turned up. The workshop started to really grow locally within our area and in Sydney. And then after that, we decided, you know what, we're going to reach out to more people online. So we created a program called Community about 2 years later after the workshop, which now has hundreds of students that are located worldwide.
And we thought our USP was having an educational program, but eventually clients were coming to us for live calligraphy personalisation. And when that started to build momentum around 2022, and Kimlligraphy evolved into a nationwide calligraphy agency where we add value to businesses by elevating events and gifting through various techniques like point-and-pen calligraphy, hand lettering, hand engraving, digital lettering, and even product painting. So a lot of the decorative arts and penmanship is what we offer.
Right. Well, what is it about calligraphy? I mean, these days with technology, it's probably far removed from that personalised calligraphy, although I understand you do use technology. But is there just a market for something like this calligraphy that perhaps we have forgotten about?
On the surface, people see that we are about the art and the beautiful writing, but the essence in what we do is really driving that personalisation aspect to it, which is transforming that mass experience into an individualized experience. So yes, you're right. There's definitely that deep-seated human desire for connection and individualized attention. And a lot of the, companies can really personalize at scale. And consumers realize this and they want that personalized experience. And research shows, with personalization that increases brand loyalty, repeat customers. But the benefit is usually talked about in the digital space. So in a world of data, technology, and AI, the challenge really is how do you maintain that human touch? And a lot of the marketing directors, event planners, PR agencies, and founders that we've worked with, they see live events and the gifting experience as a way to maintain that human touch and that personalized aspect. But then another challenge remains is how do you create events and gifting in a unique way so you can actually stand out from the noise? So you probably attended the events and walked away, with a goodie bag.
And then everybody kind of gets the same thing in that goodie bag, even though it's kind of tailored to the event and themed around it. But when you're able to personalize a product with your name or a word of your choosing, it makes it that extra special and it connects you to the event more. You walk away making it much more memorable too.
Absolutely. You've done work for the likes of PwC, Cartier, Rolls-Royce, Westfield. How do you secure those big names? How do you get the word out?
I think for us, the secret sauce is really building the trust factor. A lot of the creatives that we know, and for us, Kim and I, we are, our background is creativity. And we find that, a lot of creatives and entrepreneurs in general are really great at building the know and the like factor. In the beginning for us, we really mainly work with a lot of B2C. Like for a lot of calligraphers that do start out, it's your family, your friends, their friends, and that relies a lot on word of mouth. And that spreads, with us, it spread from the workshops that we were running. And at the same time, Kim got quite a bit of an act building connections on her Instagram account. And so it was a lot of the referrals and word of mouth that eventually that caught the attention of the bigger high profile brands that we work with today. And I think what we do really well is leveraging the power of video and systems. So to this day, we capture a lot of behind the scenes and testimonials, and that really builds the social proof. And then we would utilize landing pages to promote specific offers and sometimes, run ads behind that. So yes, our focus is really driving the trust factor. And I think that's one of the key reasons why we are able to secure those big names.
So you're not just artists. I shouldn't say it like that anyway, but you've mapped out a business strategy and it's working really well.
Yeah, well, I think what we found too, well, personally for me too, in the beginning is I spoke a lot of in the language of what we call language of creatives. You know, we talk about the art and we talk about how great we're at doing at the art and stuff, but where I lacked too, and I think there are other creatives out there, is the language of business. And once I learned, or we both learned how to talk in the language of business, it really drove that trust factor even more with those big brands that we work with.
Yeah, and we often actually quite teach this in our program to our students, and we find that many still do struggle with this concept because as a creative, you can get really attached to your craft and to your passion, and you want to be the hero of your brand story. There's a book by Donald Miller called Building a Story Brand Book, and where he says that you don't make yourself the hero of your brand story, you're the guide and the customer is your hero. So I think that's what really sets us apart from a lot of the calligraphers on social media, is most of them will have content that shows the calligraphy art. At least 80% of that will take up their feed. But for us is actually the reverse. 20% of our feed will show the art, but the rest will be all about creating stories and messaging around the topic of business and personalization, the impact that we've made to our clients, and the stories about our team. And because of the way that we craft our message, we went from attracting individuals who simply want calligraphy as a keepsake for the beautiful writing to attracting, those high profile brands with objectives to drive more sales, bring in more traffic, stand out from the noise, build brand loyalty. So we understand that they're looking to reduce risk that are a lot bigger than, say, getting beautiful cards for your wedding, right? So they really want business growth or sales conversions, which means they'll pay more for that. And I think that's, like Kim said, talking in the language of business is very much different to the language of the creative language. So it's really, how do you find that balance between the two? And I think that's when you do move from a hobbyist to a business owner, that's when you realize, it's not really just about you, it's about the people that you want to serve.
Fantastic. That's very insightful. Now, you're a husband and wife team. You've got young kids. What happens at the end of the day? Do you talk shop or are you able to separate the business world with your family life?
Oh, that's a great question. I think what really helps is that we're aware that we're a family business. We've got family and we've got business, and it's not always the same thing, but at the same time it is.
It's connected to everything that we do. And I think for Kim and I, we don't really believe in balance. Some days you will end up spending more time on the business and other times, with your family. So rather than finding balance, we seek harmony. And what that means is, how can the different areas of our lives, our passions, our family, our business, how can that all work together in harmony?
And we're very fortunate too. We have what I call our village, our people around us, our in-laws who can look after the kids every now and then. To tell you the truth, even when we don't have that support or we didn't have that support, both Mark and I are very solution focused. We always find a way to make it happen.
And I think that comes with the entrepreneurial mindset. We're always looking, for the solution amongst all the challenges. And I think the attitude in our relationship, Kim and I are very much a team and that we work together. And I think that's really important. That doesn't mean that we don't have disagreements. I think disagreements is important in a relationship, but it's learning to navigate through that and finding what really works.
Now, you've done well, 7 years in business to get to where you are today. What's the future for Kimlligraphy?
I think we want to continue to drive our mission, which is to keep that human touch alive in a digital world, spread creativity. We're very big advocates for creative entrepreneurs, overcoming that stigma that a lot of creatives that go into business face, and also be the leading provider of calligraphy personalisation in Australia, elevating events and gifts for high-profile brands. And as Kim mentioned, we are expanding to New Zealand. For me personally, I don't think too much of the goal. That's, for me, it gives the direction personally, though. But yeah, what's important is I'll really continue to love what I do, and our business strengthens in the unity and the bond of our family, and at the same time being able to make that difference outside of ourselves.
That was Kimlligraphy's Creative Director, Kim Tran-Flores, and Marketing and Growth Officer, Mark Flores. For a free guide on how to elevate your events with calligraphy personalisation, head to the link in the show notes of this episode. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow at BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Forvis Mazars. To find out more, visit forvismazars.com/au. That's FORVISMAZARS.com/au.